This week on ANN, a survey reveals that Loma Linda University is the top-ranking school for producing graduates who find meaning in their work.
An Adventist organization obtains a license for an FM radio station in Spain.
And learn how you can participate in the United Nations' upcoming International Day of Peace.
These stories and more coming up.
This is ANN, a service of the Seventh-day Adventist World Church. Thanks so much for joining us this week.
First in the news, a Seventh-day Adventist institution was recognized for producing graduates who find meaning in their jobs. In a recent survey of 1.4 million graduates of American colleges and universities, participants were asked if their work makes the world a better place. More than 90% of graduates from Loma Linda University who participated in the survey claim they hold jobs that make a difference, placing the university at the top of the category.
Well, certainly our motto, to make man whole, embodies the aspect of service, and the fact that we connect them with so many experiential opportunities, both in the local community and internationally, leads our students to have this sense of commitment to making a difference. So I think this is a natural outcome of what makes Loma Linda so special.
The Adventist Church in Spain recently received a license to officially broadcast that nation's first non-Catholic religious station, marking a significant step for religious liberty in the country. The Association of Adventist Radio in Spain received a license for an FM station from the Council for Audiovisuals in Catalonia. The church in Spain has operated 21 stations over 2 decades, but has failed to receive license for a religious and non-profit radio station. Pedro Torres Martinez shared more on this historic achievement.
This is a historical milestone in the Seventh-day Adventist Church history in Spain. The Adventist Church has made history with this radio license in Catalonia, but not only for our denomination. It has been also the first time that a non-Roman Catholic radio station has a license for broadcasting in FM, which opens the door for other Christian radio stations here in this country.
The United Nations has designated Sunday, September 21, as the International Day of Peace. This is a time to strengthen the ideals of peace and celebrate those who dedicate their lives to peacemaking. In an official statement released in 2002, the Adventist Church acknowledged that Jesus wants his followers to be peacemakers in society and hence calls them blessed. The UN is calling for a minute of silence at noon on Sunday. We would like to encourage you to take this time to unite with our global church to pray for peace.
We cannot build a durable peace without education, health, justice, and freedom for all. These are the real pillars of a true peace, and through its schools, universities, hospitals, and various ministries like religious liberty, youth, women, the Church is a significant actor of peace in the world today. And this is why it is so important to pray and to pray again for peace in the world.
Humanitarians are responding to the health needs of thousands of residents in Western Nepal who have been displaced due to last month's flooding. Volunteers from the Adventist Development and Relief Agency in Australia established 2 temporary health camps to assist some of the 180,000 people affected by the floods. Officials say potentially fatal diseases including diarrhoea and malaria have been on the rise due to the contaminated water, animal carcasses and poor facilities. More than 5,000 people will receive direct assistance from ADRA's efforts.
This coming Sunday is also the North American Adventist Church's Let's Move Day. This is a time for churches in the region to find creative ways to get active and focus on health.
Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, today we join together to get mentally, physically, and spiritually active.
Why? What's going on today? It's Let's Move Day. Walk, jog, and run. Let's Move Day. Together we'll have fun. Let's Move Day. Get up, everyone. Goodbye, old habits. Changes have begun. Let's move.
To live long, healthy lives.
Let's move.
To set a good example for others.
Let's move.
Obesity is out of control.
Let's move!
Why?
Because God expects us to. Let's move day. Walk, jog, and run. Let's move day. Together we'll have fun. Let's move day. Get up, everyone. Let's move day. Let's move!
The church has provided numerous resources to help jumpstart your activities. Katja Reinert has more.
So we have several resources that are available for people to use on Let's Move Day. We encourage people to take a look at our toolkit, for instance, to learn how to put it together, how they can plan ahead and partner with others in the community. We have t-shirts, we have pedometers that are available for people to track their steps or their miles during the day so they can compete for awards. There's a special issue of A Vibrant Life magazine on obesity, which talks about Let's Move Day. So there are many other resources that can be used, and we encourage people to get out there. It's so important for us to talk about why we believe health and is such an important topic, and how there's a connection between that and our well-being in every way. And so getting out there and involving the community meets a need, because obesity is an epidemic, but also sends a message that we care and we can make friends that way.
On the recent anniversary of the September 11 terrorist attacks, Seventh-day Adventist Church President Ted Wilson visited the memorial site of the World Trade Center in New York City to reflect on faith and hope.
We live in a world with unexpected situations. Unexpected things happen. Uncertainty creates insecurity and instability.
It's obviously a very disturbing live shot there. That is the World Trade Center, and we
On September 11, 2001, people living in this new century, right here in New York City, were caught off guard with a terrible terrorist attack. An attack that killed thousands of people and destroyed the Twin Towers.
Let's look at these live pictures at the World Trade Center. The other tower of the World Trade Center has just collapsed. You are looking at
These towers were landmarks of New York and the United States. Nevertheless, the towers failed. People died, and people lost hope and faith in the world. Amidst the uncertainty of life, we can have the assurance of the love of God and the hope of Jesus' soon second coming. Yes, Jesus is coming soon. We can be very sure about that fact. And despite unexpected situations, we know that soon we will see Jesus coming in the clouds of glory. With faith and hope, the tower was reconstructed. With faith and hope, we can believe that Jesus will reconstruct a new earth where we will live forever in peace, harmony, and joy.
Still to come, leaders say an upcoming offering for mission projects in Ukraine and Russia will remain unaffected by civil unrest.
And later, a Grammy Award-winning Adventist gospel group helps ADRA celebrate a milestone.
I was driving in an unfamiliar area. The GPS that I was using was borrowed and the volume was not working on it. And so as I was watching it, I was having to just use the arrows to guide me. And I found that when I would need to make a turn, I would think it was the next turn because sometimes the blocks were so close together. Time was slipping away as I was being rerouted and rerouted again. And so I prayed, God, please guide this GPS. Please get me to the airport. By 11 o'clock, I was just pulling in. On this journey here on earth, I found one of the greatest gifts from God to be the Holy Spirit. Throughout each day, He put songs and scriptures and stories or conversations in my path that comfort me, strengthen me, convict me, or give me a greater understanding of His love for me and those people around me as He transforms me to be more like Jesus. Naturally shy to speak to people, I'm thankful that He reveals what God would have me say or do in different situations. I'm most grateful that when I do get on the wrong path, He'll open my eyes to see it and convict me of it, and then He'll reroute me. Because of this, I can be confident that He will lead me to my heavenly destination one day.
Welcome back, and now we bring you more news from our global church community.
A major offering, collected every 13th Sabbath, is used to support various mission projects throughout the world. The funds collected later this month will help open or expand schools in Ukraine and also help build an outreach centre and chapel in Russia. Although parts of this particular region are experiencing unrest, church leaders have assured members that the turmoil will not affect the offering. Adventist Mission sent the following report to share how these funds will be used in Ukraine.
Lviv is a city in western Ukraine that once was a major population center for business and culture. Now Lviv is full of history, long-standing buildings, and sites that journey your mind many hundreds of years back. Lviv is also known for its many institutions of education, but until recently, it never had an Adventist school. It all started with the family of Alexander, who now is the principal of Lviv Adventist School. He and his wife would homeschool his 2 children and a friend. This was a nice little classroom at home, but the children grew lonely and wished for a Christian school and friends to play with. They soon decided to pray and ask their Heavenly Father. They prayed that God would provide them a school and many children to attend. Little did they know that this was no small request. Coincidentally, the same prayer was also in the heart of local conference administrators. And at the right time, Alexander was asked to start an Adventist school in this region. The leaders quickly realized that they needed a building for the school. So Alexander began to rally church members to pray for God's provision. Then conference administrators decided to move out of their conference building and donate it to become Lviv's first Seventh-day Adventist school. Everything happened so quickly, the children in the community were invited to attend, and at the turn of the year, the new school was opened. Here in Lviv Adventist School, the children learn their subjects with a wholesome approach. They gather each morning to hear Bible stories, sing songs, and pray that God will bless them to grow as fruitful people. In addition to regular classes, the children here have a chance to learn many different subjects like English, music, physical education, and they eat daily meals together. Now Lviv's leaders are praying again. They are asking God for another miracle. The children are growing, but want to continue studying here. There are also other children who want to enroll. There is only one solution: to acquire more space and extend the grades offered. Lviv Adventist is currently a primary school, and the goal is to purchase a plot of land and build rooms for secondary classes. But how can they raise the funds?
It's important to remember that this school began with prayer, and we continue to pray that the Lord will pave the way for this institution to expand.
To see the full video, visit news.adventist.org.
The headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church hosted a free health fair this week for its annual community outreach event. The Fun of It Health Fair featured free cooking demonstrations, health screenings, fun obstacle courses, and activities for children of all ages. Attendees also had an opportunity to test their Bible knowledge as they played Heroes, the Bible game. World Church President Ted Wilson took time to help attendees play the app based on the lives of Abraham, Esther, and other prominent biblical characters. World Church Vice President Armando Miranda shared why it's so important for the headquarters to reach out to its community.
So we really believe that the message of the Lord needs to be spread, and we need to tell the people in the community that we care for them. We have the wonderful message of Jesus that includes the health area, and we are convinced of that, and the purpose of this event is to show them our appreciation and share with them the message of health and salvation.
In honour of ADRA's 30th anniversary, the agency last week hosted a concert in the US state of Maryland featuring world-renowned gospel group Take 6. During the concert, ADRA's president, Jonathan Duffy, announced that the agency helped 21.7 million people in 2013.
Speaking of ADRA, church members in Costa Rica last month partnered with the agency to distribute food to the homeless, run a health expo, and promote recycling in the city of Aradia. The Adrathon outreach was a chance to promote the agency's efforts worldwide. More than 80 young people, including students from the Central American Adventist University, participated in the event.
Nearly 30 members in Mongolia learned effective ways to distribute evangelistic materials in the Central Asian nation where most residents are unfamiliar with Christianity. During a recent literature evangelism seminar, Pastor Vivenzio Bermudez, the publishing director for the church in Southern Asia Pacific region, used his 42 years of experience to teach creative methods of spreading the gospel. The Adventist Church was established in Mongolia in the mid-1990s, with its publishing ministry taking off shortly thereafter. The participants had a chance to put their lessons into action when they went door to door to sell health books and pass out complimentary copies of The Great Hope.
More than 900 people on the South Pacific island nation of Vanuatu dedicated their lives to Christ as a result of an evangelistic series. Record and Focus has more.
Crowds of 5,000 or more gathered each night in the capital Port Vila, while crowds of others watched the health and biblical presentations broadcast live at 6 official downlink sites and around the country via free-to-air television. Key speakers were Adventist Health Associate Director Dr. Chester Coomer and Evangelist Pastor Jean-Noel Adeline. Church leaders are awaiting the final results of the meetings but are anticipating overcrowding in a number of Vanuatu's Adventist churches.
The Adventist Development and Relief Agency headquarters is planning a special prayer via Google Hangout for everyone who's been affected by the growing Ebola crisis in West Africa. The Hangout will take place Thursday, September 25 at 1:30 US Eastern Daylight Time.
Well, I'm a believer in the power of prayer. And I believe that where 2 or 3 of us are gathered in God's name, that we can make a difference. We can make a difference through prayer to sustain and uphold the people who are suffering from this crisis, whether it's them physically or whether it's family members and seeing a family member sick and dying through this disease, or whether it's just through creating a greater social awareness, that we begin to talk about it, that this is personal. You know, you hear of a few thousand deaths and a few thousand deaths here and there and everything else, and we think, well, so what? But when it's me and it's my family member, it's personal. And I feel that we need to make this a personal matter of prayer.
For more information, visit facebook.com/joinadra.
And finally, in the news this week, it's not too late to join the World Stewardship Online Conference. The goal of the conference is to educate members and leaders about biblical practices of planning and managing resources. To join the conference, visit AdventistStewardship.com.
Still ahead, learn how your church can avoid online scams.
But up next, see how young people in Ukraine dedicate themselves to mission.
We were a group of women outside the city gate by the river at a place of prayer. Lydia, a dealer in purple cloth from Thyatira, was also there. 2 men came along and started to speak to us and asked to join us in prayer. We later learned that they were Paul and Silas. The Lord opened Lydia's heart to heed Paul's message. She and all the members of her household were baptized. Another day, Paul and Silas were on their way to a place of prayer. They were met by a female slave who had a spirit in her that could predict the future. She earned a lot of money for her owners by fortune-telling. She followed us and shouted at us. This was disrupting, and so Paul ordered the spirit out of her. When her owners realized that their chance of making money was gone, they dragged Paul and Silas to the authorities, and they were put in prison.
At around midnight, these 2 very positive prisoners named Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God. The rest of us were listening to them. Suddenly there was a violent earthquake and the prison shook. All the prison doors flew open and everyone's chains came loose. The jailer woke up, saw all the doors open and drew his sword to kill himself. He thought all the prisoners had escaped, but Paul assured him and shouted that he should not harm himself. The jailer called for lights, rushed in and lay in front of them, trembling. The jailer accepted Jesus Christ, and his whole family was baptized.
Welcome back. 1 year in Mission Coordinator for the Euro-Asia region, Anya Gavello, shares an update of service projects in Ukraine.
In Euro-Asian Division, the second part of 1 year in mission program took part in the capital of Ukraine, Kiev. It's always a challenge to do something in a city you don't know and with unknown people. But there is a great news. Our God knows everything. We went from door to door offering people the Bible studies and inviting them for the health programs, but we felt in need of doing something specific for young people. And again, we didn't know, but we prayed. And you know, God likes to answer. One pastor called me and asked to come to the youth meeting in his church to tell about the program that we had in New York. After the meeting, one guy asked, "What can we do in our city?" We told him, in fact, it's quite easy. We can do what we like. For example, you like computer and you like to draw. He interrupted, "I really like this. I'm a web designer." And we were happy to say, in this case, we can do a web design course. And sometime later, we printed flyers and people could enroll by calling me on my mobile. I was asking God at least for 20 people. And then my phone started ringing. And I was asking God for the chairs for all the people, because now we had more than 80 in our list. A lot of them hadn't known anything about our church before. Again we were praying, and people told, "It is so nice to be here. Why are you doing this? What do you do else? We would like to attend your events." More than that, one guy who came for the first time was so inspired that all the courses were free, then said, "I want to do something too. I can hold the guitar course." Isn't it a blessing? We had a wonderful web design course with the graduation at the end. Our students got certificates, and I got a certificate from heaven. God told me, "With me, all things are possible."
Without the proper protection, personal information of members can be hacked from churches. For this month's Adventist Risk Management feature, learn how to protect your church's virtual property.
Have you given any thought to how secure your computer systems are at your church office? I can assure you that others have. Your church members can be scammed simply by access to your church member list. While you may not consider that you have anything of much importance on your church computers, you may be surprised how the information that you do have can be used in a variety of ways when accessed by the wrong people. For example, using your church members list, including phone numbers and addresses, a criminal can contact church members to sell goods and services which may not even exist. These perpetrators know that when they use names of other church members, it lends them credibility. Your church members can be scammed simply by your church member list falling into the wrong hands. So how can you help to prevent this? Start by using a firewall. Never connect your computers directly to the DSL or cable modem. There are many types of firewalls and just as many price ranges for them. Talk to your church IT department or ask others what they use to provide even basic intrusion protection for your church computers. And don't use the default credentials. Be sure to change the passwords using 10 or more digits that include numbers, upper and lowercase letters, and special characters if you can.
Now let's turn to David Trim for a look at Adventist history. This week, the church moved its General Conference session from Battle Creek, Michigan to Lansing, Michigan.
Welcome to This Week in Seventh-day Adventist History. On September 14, 1912, at the small town of Windsor in the Australian state of New South Wales, Charles Henry Watson was ordained at the age of 35. Within a year, he had been elected a conference president, and in 1930, he became the first man not an American citizen to be elected president of the General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. That the church was able to maintain its foreign mission program through the years of the Great Depression and emerge with its finances intact owed much to Watson's prudent and far-sighted leadership, though it made him unpopular in some quarters, and in 1936 he gave up the General Conference presidency. Watson returned to Australia and served as president of the Australasian Division until retiring in 1944. On September 19 and 20 in 1877, the 16th General Conference session was held in Lansing, Michigan. It's notable for two reasons. It was the first session held outside Battle Creek, and because of the officers. Delegates re-elected George Butler as president, but Uriah Smith gave up the treasurership and was elected as secretary for the 13th time, with Mrs. Minerva Jane Chapman voted in as the new treasurer. Chapman was the third and last woman to serve as one of the General Conference's executive officers and went on to be re-elected 5 times. Her 6 terms as GC treasurer is a record. That was this week in Adventist history.
Thanks for watching ANN. Join us next week for more news from the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
In the meantime, join our global conversation on Facebook and Twitter. You can connect with other Adventists worldwide and find links to more stories, photos, and videos. Visit Facebook/Adventist News or Twitter/Adventist Church.
Our good news for this week comes from Romans chapter 15, verse 13. The passage says, "I pray that God, the source of hope, will fill you completely with joy and peace because you trust in Him. Then you will overflow with confident hope through the power of the Holy Spirit."
Amen. That's our program for this week. And remember, you can always visit news.adventist.org for daily news and videos. Until next time, God bless.
Bye for now.